Japan is back and they want you to have children. Suicide Squad is the ginger kid of anime and that it has a lot of heart and no soul, and the only isekai from this season that didn't make me want to dome myself was an isekai about a guy who desperately wants to dome himself. Hello and welcome back to Binging Last Season, where today we are doing the isekai rundown for summer 2024. We're talking about every isekai that aired during the season mostly, and talking about which ones were good and which ones were bad. And spoiler alert, most of them were bad. We're starting with the two that were utterly forgettable. The strongest magician in the Demon Lord's army was a human, and Dalia In Bloom. There's a rest of the title to Dalia In Bloom, but I don't want to say it! The strongest magician in the Demon Lord's army was a human is both a title and a summary, and the human in question is Ike. Ether! Not that Ike, and you can imagine more or less how the story goes. He's trying to hide his human identity. He doesn't want to be found out by the other demons because they're fighting humans, and basically he is the other side, but more or less he's with the demon army. He's loyal to them. He just can't have them finding out that he's a human. It's fucking boring. It looks fine. It sounds fine. But the one thing that it utterly fails to do is make me care at all. I could barely get myself to watch the thing. I gave it a 6 out of 10 and I'm probably never going to watch it again because I just don't care about it. The other one is Dalia In Bloom, crafting a fresh start with magical tools. But I left out the second half of the title earlier because it's not accurate to the show. It doesn't really tell you what's going to happen. It tricks you into thinking the show is going to be something else. But all it really ends up being is a show about a woman who gets divorced after her dad dies, and she has to figure out how to become an upstart businesswoman on her own. And look, this is clearly not for me. I'm guessing this is for women. I don't know what women like. That should be clear by now. Her inventions aren't really the focus of the show at all. It's more on her business relationships, her relationships with friends, and the new people that she meets, respecting her boundaries. Ah, how sweet. There was a certain amount of care put into making this. The first and 12th episodes have some really good visuals that I noticed. I even paused. I was like, oh, look at that. That's really nice. I wish that showed up anywhere in episodes 2 to 11. There are some story beats throughout the show that are kind of nice, but they really just didn't hit for me. Maybe they'd hit for somebody else, but not me. This show is not for me. I gave it a 6 out of 10, but if you're a woman, you might enjoy this. I don't know. Clearly at this point, I am not an expert on the subject matter. The next isekai we're talking about is one that is on a God-given mission to preserve the nuclear family. It's called A Journey Through Another World, Raising Kids While Adventuring. This is one of the first isekai from this season that I watched, and not gonna lie, it kinda worked. It's so cute. I mean, there's really no denying a show like this in terms of the cuteness factor that it brings. It's there. It makes you think, oh, kids are kind of awesome, and then you remember they're demons. But like, come on, like, look at this.
外だ
Tell me you don't want to pat him on the head and tell him they're doing a good job. Look, Takami's just on a little romp through this fantasy world with his newly adopted children, and I enjoyed it. It's fun. The only downsides, there's really not a lot going on visually. It's kind of boring. There's nothing to really keep your eyes glued to the screen for the most part, and the story just kind of maintains itself. It's consistent, but it's consistently, it's alright. It's fine. It's serviceable. I do care about the things that are happening on the screen. It's just the things that are happening aren't really that interesting. But the upsides are that it's pretty cute. It kind of makes your heart flutter a little bit when the kids are being cute and you're like, oh, they're just adorable. And then it's also pretty funny. I think like the whole show across the board is pretty funny. The one thing I do want to point out is that the first time I watched the outro, I heard the music, the little Legend of Zelda sort of discovering a chest music. I was just like, oh, is this like an end credit scene? And then it actually went into the outro itself, into the credits and the song. I thought that was pretty fun. All in all, I gave it a 7 out of 10 because that's as high as I could reasonably go. It's pretty cute. It's pretty fun, just visually really lacking. And next up is an isekai that really lives up to its name. It's called Failure Frame. I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low-level spells. And my god, I have never seen an anime try so desperately to be Ari Ferretta and then fail at it. This show has all of the edge that a high school boy could possibly dream of, and yet you can't even consider it a guilty pleasure because it's just so mid. I mean, seriously, sometimes I go back and I watch Ari Ferretta and I watch it and I sit there and go, I can't believe how bad this is, but how much I like it anyway. I notice things to hate. as I rewatch it. And somehow this is worse. But even so, I could handle that. Going through this show and watching it and being like, this is just kind of mid. It's super edgy, but I really don't care what's going on. That's fine at the end of the day. I can get over it. There's some cool scenes where they have fun. Sure, whatever. But the audacity for this show to end on a cliffhanger and say, see you next season, to not wrap up its story in any meaningful way, the fucking audacity. It's a 6. It doesn't deserve anything higher than a 6. I don't even care. I don't want to see season 2. This shit pissed me off. But the next one didn't piss me off as much as it just kind of made me sad. Look, I am a huge Suicide Squad enjoyer. I'm a big fan, even of the movies, the Will Smith movie even. A lot of people hated that movie. I thought it was fun. I thought it had a lot of heart. I enjoyed the absolute shit out of it. So when I heard that they were doing an Isekai Suicide Squad coming out of Japan, good. Thing in Japan? Ugh! And that's why it sucked finding out that Isekai Suicide Squad ended up being the anime equivalent of a ginger kid. And I'm going to explain that now, because I know I didn't explain it earlier, and you're probably still confused. Straight out of the gate, I thought that Isekai Suicide Squad had a lot of heart. I watched episode 1, and I watched, these Japanese. Well, first of all, I watched it in Japanese because I watched 2 seconds of the English dub, and the moment that a background character started talking, I was like, nah, can't do it. But I saw this Japanese studio coming together and working with these DC characters and villains, and I'm sure it was a ton of fun to work on it. I'm sure they were really excited to implement all sorts of ideas, like in episode 1 where the Joker's driving around his car by playing the piano. I'm sure that was a ton of fun to work on, and I can tell they had a lot of heart. I enjoyed the fight between Katana and Harley in episode 1. The animation was a little weird, maybe a little bit scratchy, but I enjoyed it and I liked the choreography. I just, top to bottom of episode 1, I was having a good time. And speaking of top to bottom, the intro and outro are super cool. The intro being this sort of instrumental, sort of jazz montage of the various villains in different situations, kind of funny, some more serious. And then you get to the outro and it's Calliope Mori or Mori Calliope. I don't know which one she goes by. I don't care. I don't speak Japanese. I don't do the name thing. Shut up. But you get past all that surface level shit and you get into the main story and you find out that it has no soul whatsoever. There's nothing to make you care about the main story in this anime. The only cool thing that's going on is showing off the characters and the DC villains. That's it. As far as the world they go to, the Isekai world, you don't really give a shit about anything that's going on. They don't really give you a reason to. It kind of feels like the first Suicide Squad movie in that the main story, the main thing driving the plot, it's who fucking cares, man? And even though they do a lot to bring the villains to life and they make them really fun characters, everything that's happening around them is pretty much completely meaningless. It feels like a feature-length AMV. And yes, the animated scenes of, the fights between the different characters, they can be really cool. It's just, there's nothing else there. I gave it a 7 out of 10 because that's where a lot of heart but no real story gets you. It gets you, kind of high up there, but I couldn't reasonably give this thing an 8 because I don't think I would want to go back and rewatch this. And by the end of, the runtime, I was sort of sitting there feeling like I kind of want to off myself. Isekai Shikaku. No longer allowed in another world. The summary of this isekai on Mao does not do it justice. Because I'll be honest, when I read about the author sensei trying to accomplish his life's ambition and committing double Sudoku off the side of a river, I thought, not really interesting. He goes to another world. He tries to find his lover. What is this? What is this story? But then you start to watch it and you realize that this gimmick that they are going with of this main character who wants nothing more than to stop being alive is just fucking hysterical. The running gags do not stop hitting from start to finish. The more serious scenes are pretty fucking cool as isekais go. And look, no matter what you do when it comes to this show, you gotta give it till episode 4. Don't stop before episode 4. If you don't like it by then, Fair enough. I believe that this anime is best experienced when you don't know what's coming. The only thing I'm going to tell you is this. By the end of the runtime of season 1, Sensei might still want to dome himself, but you definitely won't want to. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's closer to a 9 than a 7, but I don't think it just breaks through that barrier of being a 9, but I can definitely see myself coming back to revisit this show in the future. It was a lot of fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to season 2. And it's really the only isekai that kind of hit from summer 2024. Everything else was just kind of either mid or disappointing. It was just a really, really weak season for isekai. And if that's kind of upsetting for you, if you're an isekai fan, look, don't worry. This may have been a pretty weak season for isekai, but it was not a weak season for fantasy. I'll see you guys next week.